Your Excellency, Excellencies, distinguished guests, we're now delighted to be joined with the Minister of Energy from the Petroleum Division of the Government of Pakistan to give us his keynote address. So please welcome now His Excellency Ali Pervez Malik to the stage.
Respective governors and chief ministers, foreign dignitaries, excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. It is my distinct honor to welcome you to the Pakistan Minerals Investment Forum 2025. We are specially privileged to host a distinguished gathering of global leaders, visionaries, and accomplished professionals. To the esteemed international dignitaries and delegates who have joined us from across continents, on behalf of the government of Pakistan, I extend our deepest gratitude. Your presence here not only honors us, it reaffirms the growing global confidence in Pakistan's mining potential to become a cornerstone in this global supply chain. As your host, let me briefly showcase to you the vast mineral wealth of Pakistan and the extraordinary opportunity it presents to the world. Can we have the presentation, Ji? Right. So, Ji, okay. Yeah? Okay. Can we go to the next slide, Ji? So, I think to start with, I would just state that in the recent past, Pakistan has been through interesting times, and the government of Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, with the help of the international partners, has, mashallah, been able to stabilize the economy with its hard-won efforts, and the early signs of recovery and its dividends are now visible on the economic landscape. To just showcase you a few examples of how the situation has improved and where we are today, I would just like to spotlight the improvement on the foreign exchange reserves front, which should give a lot of confidence to the international investors present here that the repatriation of profit issues which have been cleared in the last 1 year, inshallah, that would be a permanent solution for us in the near future. The current account deficit, which has been the perennial issue, which has forced Pakistan into a boom and bust cycle. In the last 8 months, we've been able to convert that into a surplus of around $650 million. The inflation, which had skyrocketed to around 40% a year back, is now well in check, and the CPI is hovering around 1%. The Pakistan Stock Exchange, despite the recent turmoil that we see in the markets, remains amongst one of the best performing markets in the world. So all these efforts that the Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and his economic team has personally led is leading to a lot of accolades on the international front. And I will just like to showcase a couple of testimonials and validations that we've received from the MD IMF, which has recently stated that the Pakistan's economy is moving in the right direction with strong reform efforts. So the focus is not to provide temporary solutions, but to address the structural issues of the economy, which has forced us into a boom and bust cycle. So another similar validation when the IFC head was visiting here after many years was when he said that we believe in Pakistan's long-term potential. Our goal is to invest $2 billion annually to support growth in Pakistan. And similar efforts have also resulted in recent upgrades in the ratings for Pakistan by organizations like Moody's and Fitch, and we expect further good news on this front as we continue to make progress on economic reforms. So now, as we move from anchoring and stabilization towards a more inclusive, resilient, and sustainable growth paradigm, the focus, the effort of this forum is to highlight and showcase what kind of role mining can provide in this transition. And the next few slides, with the help of the next few slides, I would like to showcase what Pakistan has to offer, what is being done to facilitate that, and where do we stand in terms of excavation, capacity building, and value addition. So let's go to the next slide. So my brother, Minister Belushi, stressed the importance of the Tethyan belt. So undoubtedly that belt remains vastly unexplored, and it starts from east of Europe, passes through west of Pakistan, and goes all the way up to Southeast Asia. So this is where it enters Pakistan, goes up to KPK, and then moves on towards Southeast Asia. So now, this is just to spotlight where Pakistan is on the Tethyan belt. Now I will just zoom in on the particular areas and what kind of potential is available there in those provinces. So next slide, G. So now we are into Balochistan, which I think is richly endowed and undoubtedly has one of the largest reserves, untapped reserves of copper and gold. It is home to huge mineral potential, and it is not just restricted to Chaghi district, which is located around here. I think Chaghi has gathered a lot of spotlight because of the Reko Diq project and the Sandik project that are being discussed, and has tremendous potential of copper and gold. But then there is also the Khusdar and Lasbela belt, which is located somewhere over here, and there are measured reserves of lead and zinc over here. And then there is the Zob corridor, which is somewhere over here, and there are indications of chromite and antimony that have been seen over there. So now this is just the Balochistan area. Now moving on to Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, I think a lot of focus has been on Balochistan, but the other provinces, since they are also on the Tethyan belt, have vast potential. So when you zoom into KPK, I think the Chitral and the Kohistan belt, if you look there, there are showings and endowments of copper, placer gold, gemstones, copper, antimony, and all those precious materials that are listed here in this belt also. Now moving on to Punjab, I think one of the biggest reserves of Himalayan pink salt is located in Punjab, and that's potential is being excavated. And in Chiniot, there are also indications of iron ore, placer gold, and many other important materials. Now moving on to Sindh. And we have the Honorable Chief Minister here. I think the biggest, one of the biggest reserves of lignite coal is located in Thar. The sizing of that opportunity is around 175 billion tons. And the current production that is happening there is only 11 million tons per annum. So there are a lot of projects and a lot of opportunities in gasifying this coal resource and meeting the energy and the fertilizer needs of the country. So, and then there are also dimension stones and industrial minerals that are also available there. Now moving on to Gilgit-Baltistan. I think in Gilgit-Baltistan, there are also indications of gemstones, various projects and undertakings are being done there to develop and harvest the potential of gemstones in this belt. And then you have rare earth elements, indications of tracer gold, and many other materials in this belt also. Moving on to Kashmir. I think Kashmir, just like the other areas of Pakistan, is equally endowed with many rich minerals which include gemstones, gold, lead, zinc, manganese, industrial minerals, and dimension stones. So this is, we can go to the next slide. This is just to highlight the kind of potential that remains untapped within Pakistan and what is being done to cultivate and harvest this potential. So now on what the government is trying to do to facilitate the discovery of these minerals and to add value to these products. I think everyone understands and appreciates that minerals primarily remains a provincial subject. However, the vision of the Prime Minister and with the support of the Army Chief was that we harmonize the fiscal and the legal framework under which this entire activity is happening. Currently, there were more than 6 acts, more than 6 policies, 8 acts, and around 36 different variations of rules under which this mining activity was happening. And some of these legislations were as old as 1923. For example, the Mining Health and Safety Act that was being used was approved in 1923. The Provincial Concessions Act that was in vogue was approved in 1948. The Labour Act was enacted in 1965. So this effort, and we will be unveiling that harmonized framework in which all the fiscal incentives have been drawn out after multiple rounds of stakeholder consultations in which the chief ministers have personally been involved. These benefits, these incentives have also been benchmarked with the top international jurisdictions by a renowned consultant, American consultant by the name of Wood Mackenzie. And similarly, the legal framework has also gone through this rigorous round of evolution and was led by a renowned law firm based out of UK, which is White & Case. So this is an effort that has happened in the last 1 year under the stewardship of the Prime Minister. Now, what are the key features of that policy? I think the first thing that we also get to hear about is how will you ensure that the value addition is done locally in the country, and it is not just basic metals and the concentrate that is exported out of Pakistan. So the incentives, whether it be in terms of developing the royalties, have been imposed based on a sliding scale. So as you move up in the value chain, the burden of the royalties that has to be shared will reduce. So that is to incentivize onshoring of maximum amount of value addition. The other key feature is that we have tried to keep the IRR, because these are projects which require huge capital outlay, long gestation periods. So in order to ensure that the IRR is comparable to what is offered in other jurisdictions like Indonesia, in Australia, in Chile, we have tried to benchmark this entire framework with that. Then, in order to push for optimized costs and minimize the quarry losses, an effort has been done to push for corporatized and mechanized mining, which means that the investors will go through a robust screening process. The third is a lot of effort has gone into ensuring transparency in the licensing and allotment of the blocks purely on merit basis. And then lastly, a lot of emphasis has gone in ensuring that the ESG requirements are met. And all this is also being facilitated through the Special Investment Facilitation Council, which provides a one-window solution for all the foreign investors who want to enter into this market. So we can go to the next slide, Ji. So now what is being done to expedite this process? This entire thing is because this will provide the foundational platform on which all this potential will subsequently be harvested. So the digitalization and updation of this exercise, 55% of the mapping for the whole of Pakistan has been done, and we expect to fully cover the entire landscape of the country within this calendar. Technology to centralize that. We are also trying to leverage GIS-based technologies to centralize and share critical sector data, consolidation of this data, and making it easier for potential investors. That is another effort that we are moving towards. So, Ji, next slide, Ji. So now, coming to the last slide of my presentation. So the emphasis that I want to put through this slide is that as the world transitions towards greener technologies and modern tools, the reliance on these critical metals will increase exponentially. And most of the brownfield discoveries that are operating currently on the global landscape, they are waning in terms of importance. So Pakistan provides that untapped opportunity with which we can meet these global requirements. There are more than 20 active exploration licenses that are underway. There are, since these projects require a lot of technological knowledge and expertise, manpower skills, we are trying to build international alliances to spotlight some successes for the world. And I'm grateful for Barrick, who has joined us, teamed us with exploration of Reko Diq. Mr. Mark Bristow is personally here. He would be providing detailed information on the project. Then we have our friends from UAE, International Resource Holding, which is helping us develop this sector. The Chinese friends, MCC, is already involved in SENDAC and continues to cooperate with us in development of this sector. So this is the other pillar of support in how we are trying to manage this transaction and tap into this potential. But the local entrepreneurs, the Pakistani businessmen, they're all also trying to step up to meet the requirements of today's world and the demand for minerals that is expected over the next couple of years. So those capacity building is happening. We have a few success stories. You would be hearing about them here. The National Resource Limited, Globacor, Sadiq Sons. They also have stalls in the exhibition center. When we are through with these presentations, you will also have the opportunity to see the good work that they've done. The public sector companies are also stepping up. All these companies are actively engaged in this effort. So this is basically the landscape and what the government of Pakistan, under the leadership of Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and with the able guidance and support of the armed forces, is trying to do in this landscape. And I look forward to hearing your views and building on the journey that we have, inshallah, embarked on with this conference. Thank you very much for your participation.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Ali Parvez Malik, the Minister of Energy, the Petroleum Division for the Government of Pakistan. And thank you for bringing us on that tour around Pakistan and, demonstrating to us all of the great resources that are there and how powerful and the tremendous opportunities that are there. Let's take a quick look at this little video. It'll probably bring to life some of what His Excellency has just been talking about. And let's just see our video here from the Minerals Investment Forum. And there you heard it, the dawn of a new frontier. The possibilities in Pakistan, without a doubt, are absolutely endless. But let's take a closer look at what is happening at the jewel in the crown, so to speak. Let's hear from the President and the CEO of Barrick Gold Corporation to bring us up to date with what's going on with Reko Diq and the future of mining in Pakistan. Please give a very, very warm welcome for Mark Bristow. Lovely to see you.
Honourable Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, Chief of Army Staff General Asim Munir, the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister of Pakistan, our own Minister of Energy and one-day mines, Ali Pervez Malik, all our other honourable ministers, both federal and provincial, and a special welcome to visiting ministers, honoured guests from other countries. A special welcome to our Chief Minister, Bugti of Balochistan. And a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen and fellow miners. And in particular, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to those colleagues from the major mining and international mining companies that accepted our invitation to join us here in Islamabad to talk about future of mining in Pakistan over the next 2 days. A lot of work has gone into arranging this event, and so I'd like you to join me in thanking all of those who made this such a success. This is our usual cautionary statement, which you can also find on our website, should you wish to review in more detail. All good things in life come about through hard work and perseverance. And the same can be said about the Pakistan fledgling mining industry, which we celebrate today. I believe this marks the commencement of a brand new mining frontier, which is about to put Pakistan on the world stage when it comes to mining and its potential to compete against countries like Chile, Peru, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Zambia. I am equally proud to present the flag bearer of this event, one of the world's largest undeveloped copper-gold deposits, Reko Diq, which has been more than 20 years in the making. It is a great example of how engagement and partnering between governments and international investors can deliver something that is good for all stakeholders. Barrick, with the governments of Pakistan and the province of Balochistan, set out to reshape the Reko Diq partnership that focused on sharing the value it would create with all stakeholders. At the end of 2022, after much negotiation, our teams completed the reconstitution of the Reko Diq project, having received a favorable opinion from the Supreme Court of Pakistan and the required legislation having been passed into law. So Reko Diq today is a 50-50 partnership between the people of Pakistan and Barrick, owned 50% by Barrick, 25% by 3 Pakistan federal state-owned enterprises, 15% by the province of Balochistan on a fully funded basis, and 10% by the province of Balochistan on a free carried basis. Balochistan's 25% share is fully financed. Never before has sharing of a mining venture in this manner been concluded in our industry. Following the reconstitution in 2022, we immediately set out planning the development of the mine into a world-class, long-life mine, which substantially expand both Barrick's strategically significant copper portfolio and its benefit to Pakistani stakeholders for generations to come. At the end of 2024, the feasibility study was completed, producing total contained, proven, and probable mineral reserves of 15 million tons of copper and 26 million ounces of gold. This mine is set to become one of the lowest cost copper producers in the world. And I would like to note that the bankable feasibility study focuses only on 5 porphyry deposits. Based on the prospectivity of the mining and exploration leases that are already defined, there's every reason to believe that Reko Diq will still be operating past the end of this century. First production is planned for 2028 and targets 240,000 tons per annum copper. Environmental and social impact study filed the 43-101 report and received the approval of the company's boards of directors. The ongoing development of this resource is a key milestone, not just for Barrick, but also for Pakistan and the province of Balochistan. And I am sure, as I said at the beginning of my presentation, Reko Diq will be the beacon that leads Pakistan into the ranks of the top global mining jurisdictions. Barrick has a proven track record of partnering with and fostering local suppliers worldwide, and we are applying these same principles and experiences at Reko Diq. Over the last 2 years, we have awarded contracts valued at millions of dollars to suppliers from the Chagai district and across Balochistan. Reko Diq will be a major contributor to Pakistan's economy and will have a transformative impact on the underdeveloped Balochistan province, where in addition to the economic benefits it will generate, the mine will also create thousands of high-paying jobs, promote the growth of the regional economy, and invest in development programs. During peak construction, Reko Diq is expected to employ more than 7,500 people, and once in production, is expected to create approximately 4,000 direct long-term jobs. Barrick prioritizes the employment of local people and host country nationals at all our operations around the world. As part of this commitment, we launched the International Graduate Development Program for Reko Diq project in July 2023. Balochistan graduates, selected from thousands of applicants, embarked on an intensive on-the-job training program at Barrick mine sites throughout the world, including Veladero in Argentina and Lumwana in Zambia. 9 graduates have completed year 1 of the program. Another 18 have recently been selected. This hands-on experience is designed to equip talented youth from Balochistan with practical skills and insights into world-class mining operations. By the time we get to the final construction phase of the mine, we expect to have around 50 of these international graduate candidates. And at completion of the program, graduates are expected to return to Balochistan and the Reko Diq project, contributing to driving change in their communities. Their participation in the program not only helps to address the regional skills gap, but will create the foundation of management in Reko Diq based on local people. Our social investment and development plans were put in place well in advance of the start of construction. These have already improved the livelihoods of the local communities, providing access to clean drinking water, food, health, and education. We have already built and staffed clinics, a hospital, schools, technicons, and training centers. And one thing I'm particularly proud of is that most of the children now around Reko Diq go to school every day. And of those students, there are approximately 50% boys and 50% girls. Important initiatives are also being implemented to enable the development of local suppliers and service providers. These include supplier and vendor development programs, small business training programs, and local business incubation hubs. I can say confidently, ladies and gentlemen, there's still so much more to explore and invest in Pakistan. In total, just in the Reko Diq licenses, we have identified 15 porphyry bodies, and we're still finding more. Our geologists are actively evaluating these other bodies, which will certainly influence future life of mine plans and reserve and resource estimates. I always tell the team in Reko Diq is just a starter mine. There's lots more to come. There is substantial upside, and as I have already mentioned, while the feasibility study assumes a 37-year mine life based only on reserves, all indications suggest the mine could still be operating through the rest of the century. With this in mind, we are already looking to grow our footprint with new partnerships, again leading this region into the global industry of world-class mining. Since the reconstitution of the Reko Diq project and our collaboration with the governments of Pakistan and the province of Balochistan, we have been able to build a truly world-class and one-of-a-kind partnership to showcase to the world what is possible. There's a lot more to be done, and I again welcome you to Pakistan with its enormous mineral and metals endowment. I believe we are on the verge of something truly transformational, and thank you for joining us today and tomorrow. And I encourage you to be a partner in transforming this part of Asia into a new mining frontier, which will benefit all stakeholders, and in particular, the people of Balochistan. Thank you for listening.
नाज़रीन, पाकिस्तान मिनरल
गोल्ड का कहना है कि रेकॉर्डिंग पाकिस्तान की माशी तरक्की में कलीदी किरदार अदा करेगा। पाकिस्तान मिनरल इन्वेस्टमेंट फोरम 2025 वज़ीर-ए-आज़म शहबाज शरीफ फोरम में शरीक हैं। फोरम में मुख्तलिफ मुल्कों से मुताल्लिका शोबे के माहिरीन भी शरीक हैं, जबकि पाकिस्तान और इक़्तिसादी तरक्की के लिए नए दौर का आगाज़ हो चुका है। तमाम माशी इशारे मुस्बत हैं। आलमी इदारे भी पाकिस्तान की माशी तरक्की का एतराफ़ करने लगे।
सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल दबाएं ताकि कोई खबर रह न जाए।